In the quiet expanse of rural Ontario, a sinister secret lay hidden beneath the facade of honor and duty. Russell Williams, a man once draped in the respect and admiration due to a high-ranking officer in the Canadian Armed Forces, embodied the epitome of leadership and professionalism. To the outside world, Williams was a figure of integrity, a man who upheld the values of his nation and his uniform. But behind the commendations and the uniform lurked a darkness that would shock a nation. January 28, 2010, marked the beginning of a nightmare when Jessica Lloyd mysteriously vanished. The young woman from Belleville, Ontario, was last seen preparing for bed, her usual evening routine uninterrupted until she simply disappeared into the night. As the news of her absence spread, a wave of concern washed over the tight-knit community. Neighbors, friends, and family members came together, their worry palpable, as they posted flyers and scoured the area for any sign of Jessica. The local police, equally baffled by the sudden disappearance, launched an extensive search operation. Initial investigations turned up frustratingly few clues, leaving officers to comb through Jessica's last known movements and interview anyone who might have seen something, however minor. The lack of evidence only deepened the mystery, heightening the anxiety among residents who could not fathom such an event in their peaceful town. As days passed with no sign of Jessica, the pieces of a horrifying puzzle began to emerge. It was the discovery of tire tracks and boot prints that turned a routine check into the lead of a lifetime. Near Jessica Lloyd's home, investigators found these marks pressed deeply into the snow, weaving a silent narrative of the night's grim events. As the cold wind whispered through the trees, these seemingly innocuous clues began to scream with significance. The tire tracks, meticulously measured and photographed, were matched to a specific model of SUV, a vehicle registered to none other than Russell Williams. The boot prints told a similar tale, their unique tread pattern matching those of military-grade boots, a standard issue in the Canadian Armed Forces. With this compelling evidence in hand, the police strategy shifted dramatically. Surveillance teams were deployed, tracking Williams's movements with precision. Every step he took, every stop he made was monitored, building a tightening web of evidence around him. As the investigation intensified, every new discovery added weight to the growing suspicion. What seemed like insignificant marks in the snow soon became the damning evidence that would unravel a monstrous double life. Faced with overwhelming evidence, the facade began to crumble. In a stark interrogation room under the harsh glare of the lights sat Russell Williams, a man who had once commanded troops and respect. Across from him, detectives laid out the irrefutable evidence. Tire tracks matched to his vehicle, boot prints identical to his own, all leading directly to him. At first, Williams maintained his composure, his responses measured and his demeanor cool. But as the hours ticked by, the walls he had built around his dark secrets began to erode. The detectives pressed on, presenting photographic evidence, surveillance videos, and damning forensic reports. It was a methodical dismantling of a double life meticulously crafted over years. As dawn approached, the breakthrough came. Exhausted and cornered by his own web of lies, Williams's resistance faltered. His voice, once firm and authoritative, now trembled as he began to confess. It started with the abduction of Jessica Lloyd. His words were clinical, detached, as if narrating someone else's actions. But as he continued, the scope of his confessions widened horrifyingly. Williams admitted to the brutal murder of Corporal Marie-France Comeau and detailed other acts of violence, each revelation more monstrous than the last. The detectives listened, aghast, as this decorated officer described his heinous crimes with chilling detachment. With a calm that chilled the very air, Williams narrated horrors that would brand him a monster in the eyes of the world. As the gavel fell, so did the final vestiges of Williams' decorated life. In the courtroom, the air was thick, charged with the gravity of the crimes laid bare. Russell Williams, once a respected colonel in the Canadian Armed Forces, found himself ensnared by the very evidence he had left behind. Charged with multiple counts of murder, sexual assault, and break-ins, his fall from grace was as swift as it was severe. The trial was a meticulous affair, where every detail of Williams's double life was scrutinized under the harsh light of justice. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, painting a picture of a man who was a predator masquerading in a uniform of honor. As each charge was read, the impact on the military community became palpable. A man who had commanded respect was now a pariah, his actions disavowing the very essence of the values he once swore to uphold. In a decisive move, the military stripped Williams of his ranks and honors, an act symbolizing the erasure of his once storied career. Justice demanded retribution, and Russell Williams faced a life sentence, stripped of all but his infamy. In the wake of devastation, a community and a nation were left to grapple with betrayal. The case of Russell Williams is a harrowing reminder that evil can lurk behind the most decorated facades. It compels us to scrutinize the complexities of human nature and reevaluate our measures of trust and security. Military and civilian sectors alike have since tightened behavioral assessments, striving to detect the undetectable. While the scars remain, the lessons of vigilance and the depth of human deceit continue to echo, reminding us to always look beyond the surface. Today, we remember not the perpetrator, but those who suffered at his hands. We honor the vibrant Jessica Lloyd, whose life was cut tragically short, and Corporal Marie-France Como, who served her country with valor only to meet a cruel fate. These individuals and the unspoken others were more than victims. They were integral parts of their families and communities, leaving behind a void that echoes their absence. Let us hold them in our thoughts, and in doing so, strengthen our collective vigilance. In their memory, we foster a resolve to prevent such darkness from ever hiding in plain sight again. From a tale of deception to a lesson in vigilance, the Russell Williams case leaves us with chilling reminders. As we retrace the steps of a man who donned a mask of normalcy while harboring a dark predator within, we've uncovered not just horrific acts, but also the crucial need for awareness in every facet of life. His descent from respected officer to convicted murderer underscores the unpredictable nature of human behavior and the shadows that can lurk behind a facade of respectability. As we close this chapter, let us carry forward the vigilance that this grim story has instilled in us. Stay safe, stay alert, and until next time, keep seeking the truth.